temperature is not hot enough.
Okay.
I call this meeting to order Monday, September 9th, 2019. Ms. Sandy, can you roll call, please?
Yes. Mr. Warren.
Present.
Mr. Sims.
Yes.
Mr. Henderson.
Present.
Mr. Lockett. Ms. Levy.
Yes, present.
Mr. Hill.
Present.
You also have Sandy Edmonds and Anna Dow. You have a quorum.
All right, before we proceed, is there any public comment on today's agenda? All right, I need approval of the minutes from our last meeting, July the 8th.
So moved.
And I second.
Second, is there any discussion over those minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Let's see here.
Mr. Chairman, could
Yes.
I throw in, there are two items. Anna, you're needing executive session for disciplinary investigative? Okay. There are two items needing executive session. They're back to back on the agenda. So Ms. Dow has said that if we could make two separate motions, one for item 1 and one for item 2, we'll do one roll call, but we'll stay in executive
So we're going to go
session.
executive session one time for two items instead of...
Right, but they had to be
We're
separate.
going to do two separate motions.
That's
Right.
fine.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I just need somebody to make that motion.
Move, go into executive session.
And I
So-
second.
Four
Let me
items.
just go on the record. The first, so Jim, yours will be pursuant to LA RS 4217A1, A4, and or A10.
Correct.
And it's covering both items.
And Darlene was the second.
I'm the second.
So I'll roll call that.
Yep.
Mr. Henderson?
Yes.
Ms. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Lockett? We're
Yes.
voting to go into executive session.
Yes.
Mr. Sims?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Warren?
Yep.
Okay, and then a separate, motion to go into executive session pursuant to LARS 373113E. For
Make a
Mr.
motion.
Brewster.
And
Brewster, Mr. Brister, I know his name.
And then
We got Jeff.
4217A1.
Yeah.
Jeff motioned. I need a second on that one. Second, Chuck.
All right, and then we're gonna roll
Roll
call
call
that
on
again. Mr. Henderson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Sorry. Right. Yes.
Yes,
I didn't have
okay,
my last name.
that's all right. Ms. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Lockett?
Yes.
Mr. Sims?
Yes.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Okay, we are
Executive session has started.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we come out of executive session.
Second. Ms. Sandy, can you roll call?
Yes, Mr. Henderson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Ms. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Lockett?
Yes.
Mr. Sims?
Yes.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Okay, you're back in session.
Motion passes. We're back in session. Next item is a review of the reinstatement applicant, a Mr. Mark Brister. Interview pursuant LSA RS 373113E may be conducted. An interview may be handled in executive session, which we've done.
And at this time, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we accept Mark Brister as a bid caller, and then monitor his activities as a bid caller, after which time, if he successfully does that and does not have any more infractions against him, that he may apply for his permanent license.
So the stipulation would be he could go as a bid caller but not have an auction business license.
That's correct.
So he could be an independent contractor and work for whoever, whenever.
Yes, sir.
Cannot have his own license.
Yes, sir.
He would have to have an auctioneer license to be able to be a bid
Right,
caller.
Yes.
right. Yes, auctioneer license, but not a business.
With restrictions, right?
It's going to be a probationary situation.
It would be
which you're gonna place
probationary.
restrictions.
Yeah. It's my understanding that he has several auctioneers that he knows that he could work under. That was my understanding.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
You need a second.
That's what you said.
You got it. He'll second.
But then you're going to be monitored very
Do you
closely.
have a time frame on that?
Now, what about a particular time frame,
I suggest 2 years.
probationary period?
I suggest 2 years. And I'm open to discussion on that.
Do you want Mr. Brister to confirm these as you talk about them, or you want him to sit
We can,
right there?
yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So Darlene made the motion. Is there a second? I'm sorry.
Mr. Hill.
Yes, second.
That is amended with the 2-year probationary. Is there another, I don't know why I want to use the word proposition.
Proposal.
A proposal. From
Any
anybody
further
else? Another
stipulations that-
Stipulation want to be added to that
No.
one in particular?
Notification of impending
Um,
auctions.
I think over those 2 years for sure.
Right.
If there's any kind of issue,
Right.
any kind of fine that may derive from any of that sort, it'll be a permanent suspension of a license. I
Yeah,
think.
any failure to do
Yeah.
anything required.
Allowing
I don't
him
know
to
if we
be a
need to add
bid
that or
caller
not.
places him on a path towards success. And hopefully, we're not going to have any more problems with him coming before the board.
So
And 2
we-
years passes very fast.
I would ask that he be required to sign stipulation to whatever effect y'all want to do today,
Okay.
since we do not have this position technically in
That
our
will be,
statute.
the stipulations will be the same stipulations that Ken Bueller was under, plus whatever we talked about.
If they're not clear.
Yeah, we would need to have that as a motion, to add to the motion.
Amended.
Yeah, you need to supplement it.
I make a supplemental amendment to the motion that he be under the same restrictions that Ken Bueller's license was under.
I can second that.
Call for a question.
Roll call or?
Roll call.
Do we need to have Mr. Brister come up and
Yeah,
Confirm,
you would
yeah.
need to confirm, do you still have, can you stipulations, I'll read that in the record. I have my copy.
Can I ask a question?
yes, approach the mic so we can get you on record?
So that wouldn't include if someone wanted to have an estate sale. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that at all.
Can't
Just
do
bid
it.
call, right?
Okay, just big call.
Right.
So if
So
I.
you can't handle
if I-
any money,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
basically what they're
I
saying. You
understand.
can't handle any money.
So I could give the sale to somebody else and help them big call.
That's it, yep.
Yeah.
With notification.
And you can bid call, but you
Right.
can give it to another
And-
auctioneer.
And part of that, what you'll see when the letter comes in there, we'll need
Right.
notification of where you're at, what you're doing
Right.
each time you go to auctioneer.
Right.
Just quick email,
Right.
letter, whatever you choose.
Right.
I can read the stipulations.
Yeah, go for it. Yep, yep.
Okay. This is Ken Bueller. Number one, you'll be issued a new license number and cannot return to the use of your old license number. You will not execute any agreements with sellers and consignors or with buyers, nor shall you receive any money from buyers or pay any consignment. You will not handle any of the money for any auction for which you work. You will work under, and we specify for him specific auctioneers that you can work under. If you work for anyone else, then you have to notify the board in writing of any auction at least 30 days prior to the auction, unless you are hired within that 30-day period prior to the auction being held. If the latter is the case, you must notify the board immediately upon learning that you will handle the auction. Now, there's sales tax outstanding, I believe, but Bueller had a judgment, so we'll not include that. You will pay any other sales tax liability in the state of Louisiana, whether reduced to judgment or not, and you will comply with any further orders of the Louisiana Auctioneers Licensing Board. Those are the stipulations, more or less, that Mr. Bueller underwent. Would you agree to those stipulations? Sure. And those to the board? And do you want to stipulate today who you'll be working for?
The only one I have right now that wants me to call for him, because I really didn't want to go any further with it before, and it would be Joe. He's asked me to call for him, yeah.
We can add that to the requirements today, and then you would have to notify us 30 days in
Okay.
advance of any other auction that you would call
Okay,
for.
so the other ones would have to be a 30-day notice?
Yes.
No, it says you have to, the agreement says you have to notify us 30 days in writing unless you're hired.
Within the 30-day period
Right.
prior to the auction.
And
Then you
they can
notify
send
us
an email?
immediately.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you would call or email Sandy.
Have them call or me
You.
call?
Both.
Okay.
It's your
Both.
responsibility to notify us if you're
Okay.
calling.
Both. They'll have to notify the board as well if they're gonna use you.
Okay. I probably won't be doing a whole lot of it because it would be really hard to make a living just doing a big call for a small auction every now and then. You know, they had a lot of them can't afford to pay anybody to do it. But But when I do one, I'll promise you, you'll be notified.
You have to start somewhere.
Right.
It's a new
And I-
beginning,
And I
right?
appreciate it.
It's a new beginning.
Yes.
That's all I got, we'll vote.
And we've given you a lifeline, so we want to see you succeed.
Thank you very much.
Call for question.
Well, I just want to make sure that those are the stipulations the board agrees to also.
Yeah, I've said put it in form of a motion, it'll be the same in the motion.
You said it'll be a different license number than the one I had?
Yes.
You back?
You'll be issued a new license number.
How many hours? 15. Wow. Full time, huh?
So is that motion good still, or do we need to read?
No, the motion, you
Okay.
got an amendment to the motion, you gotta go first.
Good God.
Roll call the vote. Unless you, is there anything else you want to add?
No, that's
Okay,
good.
perfect.
Thank you all very much.
Yep,
We haven't been voted on yet.
So we vote on the amendment
Right.
first.
great.
Right,
All right, Mr. Henderson,
yes.
Ms. Jacobs.
Yes.
Mr. Lockett,
Yes.
Mr. Sims,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Warren.
Yeah.
Out of the motion.
And then you vote on the original motion?
Yeah, go ahead and vote.
So we're doing three votes?
Okay, so roll call on that one. Mr. Henderson,
Yes.
Ms. Jacobs.
Yes.
Mr. Lockett,
Yes.
Mr. Sims.
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Warren.
So this is
there's
on
only
the,
two.
this is on the original?
Original.
Original, yeah.
Yeah.
So we just voted on the amended.
Amendment, yeah,
This
with
is the
regard to the
original.
stipulations.
Yes.
And I will send you a copy of the stipulation for you to sign before notary and return to me.
And then that, so just, so with this, we all understand, so that means I'm not issuing his license until we received his signed stipulation back.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, so,
And we have a good address. You provided a good address for us.
okay.
Yes, because I mailed to him and he's received it. Yeah.
Okay. We had problems last time.
Is it possible to get that process done this week, or?
We'll try to get those stipulations out to you this week, that's fine.
Okay.
You have an auction coming up?
Well, like I said, Joe's.
Goes Friday night.
He has an auction on Friday nights, but,
I think maybe this Friday may not work, but we'll get it
Okay.
out to you this week.
okay.
Okay.
Move on.
Next item on the agenda is approval of tested auctioneer applicants.
You're free to go.
Good luck. Connor Gwynn, complete application in-house.
I move that Mr. Gwynn be accepted as an auctioneer, and that his application be approved.
Second.
All right, any further discussion by Gwen? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Give Mr. Gwynn a license. Mr. Lane Bennett, his application as well is complete.
I move that he be granted a license.
And I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Give Mr. Bennett a license. Next on the agenda is Mr. Kenny Kyle, and that is pending his bond, receipt of his bond, right?
Yes, but he was, has been ordered and paid for.
I move that Mr. Kyle be accepted as an approved auctioneer pending the approval of the bond.
Second.
Any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Give him a license pending his bond. Next item on the agenda is reciprocal auctioneer applicants.
Both are complete.
Both applications are complete, so we're going to do this all as one. Mr. Darren
Use
Uze
Use a.
and Mr. Ronald McLean.
I move that both of them be
license.
accepted as auctioneers.
First and a second, we'll take
Okay.
that. All right. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Give them a reciprocal license. Approval of auction business applicants. Big Iron Auctions. Their application is complete.
Move they be granted a license.
Second.
I second.
Any further discussion? Anybody opposed? All those in favor? Give them a license. Approval of reinstated auction business, All States Marketing DBA Peak Auction. They were previously licensed from '07 to 2012. Then we are pending the physical receipt of the bond. We do have an email version in-house though.
Who is the principals of here?
Bear with me just a moment. By principals, you mean who owns the business?
Yeah, who's the auctioneer and who owns it?
Okay.
And also, while you pulling that out, it was due, their reinstatement is going to be due to just a license lapse, or was there?
Yeah,
Okay.
they weren't holding auctions. They're out of Missouri.
Okay.
I do know that they're looking at having an auction in December, so there's an auctioneer that is submitting an application. Actually, his application has been received. He has to do his test. He'll be on the next agenda, so that'll clear in time for the next meeting. The business has been owned for 33 years by Richard Peak.
Okay. Is that Kansas, Missouri?
Kansas City, yeah.
Kansas City.
Make a motion that we approve?
I second.
All those in favor? Anybody opposed? Give them a license. I need approval of the financials.
Move that be approved as written.
And I second.
All those in favor? Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Next meeting date will be November the 4th, 2019.
Move that we adjourn.
Let's get out of here.
Okay. Got it.
Second.